This week's talk is called You Are the Master. And what do I mean by that? Well, before I get into what I mean by you being the master, let me read you something from Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder. The science of mind and spirit makes a tremendous claim when it states that the individual should be free from the bondage of sickness, poverty, and unhappiness. It does, however, carefully set forth the conditions under which freedom operates and the laws governing life, stating in no uncertain terms that unless man understands these conditions and obeys these laws, he will not receive the full benefit from its teachings. So what does he mean by that? And what do I mean by you being the master? I'll get to the second part shortly, but first I want to talk about what Dr. Holmes means when he says this tremendous claim and the conditions on which we need to be. It has to do with belief, faith, embodiment. We need to fully believe in what it is we're doing. Now, today, the heart of my talk is actually about miracles. But miracles don't happen for folks that don't believe in miracles. You got to actually know it's possible. And then you have to be willing to step into faith in a way that feels unsafe, that feels crazy, that feels like it's impossible. And yet, if you know in the heart of hearts, this is your desire, this is yours to do, then that's the step that needs taking. That's the place you need to go. So when and a lot of this has to do with your next step, my next step, anyone's next step, because action is a huge part of belief. So we can take action based on what it is we're going after without belief, but it doesn't have near the power as it does when we take that same action with it. Because it is through our conscious mind, which, by the way, is the most powerful force in the universe. Consciousness is what is creating everything. And that is the second piece that I want to talk about today, is that we're creating all the time. Everything is creating all the time. So what we feed creation, we are feeding every single moment. We are feeding the creation of our lives in every single moment, which brings me to you being the master. You are the master painter of your life. So when we are looking at what strokes we're taking, it starts with belief, faith, because sometimes we are stepping into the unknown in ways that just seem so unrealistic. Now, anyone who's followed my talks knows how much I disparage the word realist, be realistic, because there's so much that is miraculous that happens when we simply give in to what is truly ours to do, surrender to that part of us that knows what is ours to do, whether it seems realistic or not. And the path that it takes may seem like it's all over the place. But the power of miracles is in our ability to hang in there with faith when when conditions look their most intolerable. When we are on the verge of saying, I never signed up for this. This is where faith comes in the strongest. When we hang in past those times, not just, sometimes by the skin of our teeth, but if we can do it with the foundation of knowing that, of course, since we started this path, it must be ours to do, even in the midst of this. That is where true miracles occur. Now, somebody who understands this principle, who sticks with this principle, will have miracles occur in their life that others would call miracles, that we call the logical outcome of prayer. Others would label them as miracles, but we would call them the logical outcome of prayer. the logical outcome of a faith that is stronger than any condition or circumstance. Because it is what we focus on most, that we give power to, that gains substance. That's why what we say and what we perceive is so important, because we could be giving power to the condition instead of the outcome that we actually want. Any sort of sitting in, woe is me, I'm stuck in these conditions, this is too hard. We have just fed that condition and actually solidified it just a little bit more. And every moment we say, no, the truth is that I am a powerful, creative, spiritual being. And even though this feels so rough right now, even though what I'm going after seems so unrealistic, it must be possible because it is my deepest heart desire. And so we come to situations where we are we are creating that master painting of our lives, and we're putting in colors. And what colors we pick make all the difference. Those emotions, right? We have emotions and we have thoughts. Those are the strokes that feed our beliefs. Or our beliefs, sometimes our beliefs, we start out with a drawing and then we are just adding paint to that drawing when that isn't the drawing we really want. It's just what we believe is possible. Now, this is really key. If what you have in your life isn't what you want in your life, there's probably a drawing you started with that you have now added paint to that isn't how you wanted it to turn out. I have come to realize that people who have instantaneous miracles like tumors disappearing, that the drawing and foundation for that occurring was built long before the moment that the miracle actually occurred. That we are building every moment of our lives. We are drawing, we are painting every moment of our lives. We are the master of our fate. We are making this painting called our lives. We are doing it through beliefs, which I call the underlying drawing, and then the paint that we then add to it to bring in the richness of color. We are doing that. And we can change the color, and we can even change the underlying drawing. We can even throw out the canvas and get a whole new one and start fresh. If that's what it takes, we can do that. Every one of us can do that in any moment. It's never too late, never too early, never too this, never too that. We can do it. If we make the stand for it, we are the master painters of our lives. So, a little less than a year ago, Ash and I are sitting in a restaurant, which is on the beach. And it is a gorgeous setting for a wedding. And we sit down with the event planner. Now, at the time, we were barely making it each month, our expenses. In fact, the truth is at the time, we were a little bit behind on our expenses each month, and we're going deeper and deeper into debt. So the idea of a wedding of that magnitude felt completely unrealistic, completely beyond our means. And for myself, I had nothing, I had no idea where it was all going to come from. But as we sat there, the two of us, Ash and I, we just knew that this was the place for us to do it. We just knew this was the wedding for us. As crazy as it seemed, as outlandish as it seemed, we knew. And so we signed those papers, having no clue at all, having no realistic tendency to figure out how that was even possible at all. We signed those papers. Months passed and very little changed. We finally had our income above our expenses, so we were no longer going into debt each month. But we had not increased our income to an extent whereby we had all this extra to pay for this wedding. Months passed, and we still didn't have a clue how this was going to happen. And yet in that time period, we had moments of freaking out, like, oh my God, had we made a mistake? Was this a really bad idea? Were we impetuous in terms of doing this? But then we would settle down and we'd go, no, we knew this was our wedding to do, so there must be a way this comes about, even though we can't see it at this point. And so we kept with it, knowing this was going to show up without knowing how. And then I had an intuitive brainstorm about 4 months ago that has developed into the most beautiful ideas that have inspired folks to send in their money in huge amounts to support this vision of mine. And in so doing, we paid up our wedding. We paid off our expenses. We got ahead of the game in ways we never even imagined. 6 months ago, we didn't have a clue. But then by sitting in the knowing, sitting in the divine of what's possible, sitting in the love that is ours, and the love we were feeling for each other, and the love we were feeling with the excitement of this wedding that we wanted for our celebration of our love and who we are. It all came together in what others may call miraculous, but what I am calling the logical outcome of prayer. We are the master painters of our lives. We drew the basic picture of our wedding, and then we kept coloring it in, irregardless of what the circumstances looked like, until now it's done and paid for. The wedding's not done. That's still a month away. But it's paid for in ways we never even imagined possible. And so this is what I offer you this day. That sometimes it can be a long and winding road. Sometimes the way things come about it was impossible to plan. You know, there's a saying that says, God never laughs louder than when you make plans. We had no plan. We had a dream, a vision, and we had love. And with love, dream, and a vision, anything is possible. Dr. Holmes goes on to say, daily, take the time to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions may be. That no matter what the outside appearance, we must cling steadfastly to the knowledge that God is good and God is all. We cling steadfastly to the faith, to the truth. And so what others call miracles is the logical outcome of prayer. This is what's possible for us. When we stand in what's true about how life is created, let go of what's realistic. Stand in the fact that you are the master of your life. You are the master painter, and paint the glory of your dream. Thank you. I love you.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.